In the immediate aftermath of the Memphis Grizzlies and New Orleans Pelicans trade yesterday, the first trade that we have seen in the upcoming days to the draft, it seems that Memphis are very much still going to be in the trade market throughout the next few days, as it sounds like Eric Bledsoe will not play a single game for Memphis, and that Memphis still have interest in moving up further in the draft from the number 10 spot. Presumptively, they would like to get into the top 4 or top 6 range. Nothing has been expressed in terms of where exactly they would like to get, but nonetheless, they currently have the 10th pick and they are looking to move up and move Eric Bledsoe. And so I briefly wanted to discuss what I think Memphis could do in the next few days leading up to the draft, where Eric Bledsoe could move, and if they are going to be able to move up in the draft, and what they could potentially package together to do so. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new for all of the off-season updates throughout the NBA. I will be continuing to upload as many videos as I need to cover all of the news throughout the off-season throughout the next few weeks. If that means 7 or 8 videos come out a day, it will be here. All of the news and updates will be here. So be sure to hit the subscribe button down below if that is something you want to be around for. And I'll also be doing a live stream on Thursday night during the NBA draft, so if that is something you're interested in, then be sure to check that out. With that being said, let's get into talking about the Memphis Grizzlies and what they could do in the next couple of days leading up to the NBA draft. So of course now, after yesterday's trade, the Memphis Grizzlies currently own the 10th overall pick in this year's 2021 NBA draft. And they're going to be looking to move a bit higher up. Now, whether that is into a top 5, top 6 range for Orlando or OKC, or they try and nab one from Golden State or Orlando at 7 or 8. The question really is going to become, what else are they going to have to give up to get this pick? Now, they could package together a future first, like the future first that they got yesterday from the Lakers. And I think they're going to look to avoid trading away one of the players on the roster currently, ideally. But some of the players you could see moved are Kyle Anderson, who's in the last year of his deal, and Tyus Jones, who's in the last year of his deal, as well as Grayson Allen, who's in the last year of his deal. And Memphis are going to have to start thinking about who they're going to have to start paying. And so trading away some guys on the last years of their deal is definitely a possibility, like they did with JV yesterday, depending on how high they move up. Don't expect them to give away a quality player like Kyle Anderson for the 8th overall pick moving up 2 spots. But if they can trade with Toronto and move into the 4th spot, then yeah, sure, they're probably going to have to give up a fairly high quality player. So that's just something to keep an eye on for Memphis. It really depends on where they trade up to, but just note that they are going to be aggressively pursuing moving up into the draft, even more so than they did yesterday with the trade via the Pelicans. They also had the 40th overall pick, which they could include in the deal as well, and they now have the additional pick from the Lakers in next year, which will most likely be a late first, which doesn't hold that much value to Memphis as a late first-round pick, so they could potentially package that in a trade as well. And so as regards to everything points to the fact that Eric Bledsoe is not going to play a single game for the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, this is someone who has 2 years left on his contract. It's not someone that you would expect to be a buyout. And so more than likely, this is going to be a trade. And so Eric Bledsoe trade, he's getting paid in around $20 million a year. So the thought has to be, he's going to have to go somewhere with a significant amount of salary cap space that doesn't mind taking on that level of salary for the next 2 years. So some of the teams that come in mind would have been OKC pre-Kemba Walker trade. Now I doubt that happens because they have SGA, they have Lou Dort, they have Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker probably won't be there all season. But nonetheless, I think Bledsoe really makes it a logjam in the backcourt, not to mention if they draft a guard this summer as well. And they still have Theo Maledon there as well. Eric Bledsoe's just not going to fit. But you could definitely see Eric Bledsoe get put on a team where if a team can just eat the salary and acquire a little bit of assets, then that's fine. Bledsoe still offers value to a team. His salary, unfortunately, is just way over what it should be, and that's probably going to result in a scenario where it's hard to see a scenario in which you get much value, if any value, back for Eric Bledsoe. If you do get any value back, it's going to be overly insignificant. And so I don't expect him to go to any good team. He's probably going to go to one of the weaker teams in the league with a bit of cap space that has a bit of a devoid at the guard position. He could go up and be a backup guard in Sacramento, depending on what they do this summer with potential Buddy Hield trades. Something along those lines at one of those teams is probably something you should expect for someone like Eric Bledsoe this summer. It seems unlikely he's going to play for Memphis. Now, you could see a scenario where he just does ride the bench as well, but that doesn't seem likely. But then again, Memphis just did that with Iguodala last season, so it's not completely out of the picture. Maybe if teams really flunder on their point guard shopping, maybe Chicago end up needing a point guard, or maybe Dallas really end up needing a point guard. Not that I think those are likely, but some of those mid-tier teams to higher mid-tier teams in Dallas that are looking for a point guard very well may end up searching for Eric Bledsoe later on in the offseason as well, if they do end up floundering on their other point guard targets and end up needing a point guard to fill out for the next year or two. But I wouldn't expect anything crazy from an Eric Bledsoe trade. However, you could definitely expect something a bit more interesting. A trade up for Memphis if they are managed to pull one off, depending on how high they move up. Personally, I don't think any of the teams that high up in the draft order right now are going to be that willing to trade. Maybe Orlando will, just because they have a pick at 5 and 8. I think Orlando are in just youth and talent acquisition mode. So unless Memphis gives them a good young player that they think is promising, and it can be more beneficial to them than the pick, I don't see them being overly interested in trading away alongside any of the other teams ahead of Memphis that is worth Memphis trading up for. I don't think they're going to trade up more than... If they can only trade up a spot or two, they might not be that interested, and I wouldn't blame them. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if we see nothing from Memphis for a while until later on in the offseason for a potential Eric Bledsoe trade. But they're definitely a team to keep an eye on that looks to be active and trying to be active as we enter only 2 days away from this year's 2021 NBA draft. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, as I mentioned, be sure to leave a like down below. And if you're a returning viewer, even more so, and you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below as we continue to be one of the faster growing NBA content channels on the platform. I'll be keeping you up to date on all of the NBA offseason news throughout the next few weeks. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you guys for the continued support, and I will see you guys in the next one.